Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Friday, September the 5th. Overall, markets kind of driving back towards the upside yesterday after holding our key levels. SPY leading back towards the upside along with the ES. We actually are back at all-time highs. So for the overall markets, and we're back at all-time highs here on the ES and the SPY. We do have some major red folder news this morning, which is going to be the non-farm enrollment. So that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll just look over some charts before that 8:30 red folder news and then develop our game plan from there since we are at all-time highs. As for the rest of the indices, right, NQ kind of lagging behind, but it's following along with the it's following along with the ES and SPY. And then we'll look at some of these tech names here as well, since there are a few tech names that are slowly pushing back towards the upside. But we'll talk about that all here in a second. Before we do that, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Jeff, Victor, Hardtick B Roots, Monty. Good morning, Robert, Kai. Good morning, I am Sina, Yurj. Good morning, Ryan, Mozzie, Willie, 50, Wayne, Joseph, Juan, Miss Reggie, Life, Eileen, Wallace, True, Co. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Robert, yeah. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. First things first, if you guys haven't joined the watch list, that one's in the description below. And if you guys also haven't joined the wait list for the event coming up as well in a few weeks, you guys can do so below here as well. All right. First things first, let's go on to the ES. So if we go into the 1 hour chart, you can actually see we're back up and towards our all-time high. So actually let's go into the 4 hour chart. We just went from the low of the range, which was our 6370, and now we just gravitated back up and towards the top of the range, which is our all-time highs, or 6560. So you can see really not a clear trend, but we're just going from range high all the way back down to range low, back up and towards your range high. So for the ES coming to market open, you can see nice kind of push towards the upside yesterday. Now we're right at our all-time highs coming to market open. We'll see how this ADP non-farm enrollment comes in, but if we can get above this level, we can see some continuation towards the upside. We could very much well reject off this level and come right back towards the downside here on the ES coming to market open. So key level is going to be your previous all-time highs. We're going to have this level marked out on the ES. As for the SPY, similar thing here. Key levels that we have marked out now that's relevant is going to be your previous all-time highs, really the 650 here on the higher time frame. So if you look at this on the 1 hour chart, we end up holding nice levels yesterday, which is essentially your Wednesday's highs. Nice push towards the upside. Now we're right above your previous all-time highs. If you do want to see continuation, you want to see that hold of that 649.50 for that push towards the upside. If we reject off this level, we're just going to come right back down in towards that 648. So key level I have marked out here on the SPY is going to be this 649.50 coming to market open. As for the NQ, another one where it kind of just went from your range low, you can see kind of double bottom being put in, and then ultimately, right, kind of this inverse head and shoulders here, buyers stepping in off your 23,440, and now we're gravitating back up in towards this 23,800. So this 23,800 is a very key level. If I go onto the 4 hour chart, you can see the 1 hour chart, the 4 hour chart, this is a very key level, multiple touch here. This is essentially the area that we broke down from, and a touch back here as well. So for the NQ, if we want to see some upside, we're going to have to reclaim back above this level, hold for this continued push back towards the upside. It does look like to me it could very much well reject this area and come right back down in towards that 23,650. So I'd be a little bit cautious today. We're right at a key level of resistance with the ES at all-time highs. We'll see how this red folder news event does develop coming to market open. But if we do want to see some more upside, now it's going to be above your 23,800 for a continuation higher. As for the QQQ, key levels that I have marked out now is your 577, which is a very key level. As you can see right here, we're actually currently above it. So now what I like to see is it really maintain above this level for continuation towards the upside. 577. If we do break back underneath, show some weak price action coming to market open, then the next level of support I do have is really all the way back down in towards that 574. So for the ES and SPY, along with the NQ and QQQ coming into today, it's really going to be based off of the ES all-time high. So the QQQ, you can be looking at these levels here as well, but the main thing here is going to be your ES all-time highs, and then also the SPY, similar thing here as well. It's going to be your SPY all-time highs or your previous all-time highs. That's going to be the level to look out for. So SPY can maintain above your previous all-time highs, 640.50, we can expect continuation. If we break back underneath, then we can expect a potential pullback down in towards key levels of support, which will now be your 648. So for the overall indices, we're pushing back towards the upside here. SPY's at all-time highs, Qs not quite at all-time highs, so you can still see a little bit of divergence in the overall markets. Now let's go into some of the tech names that we have coming to market open. A bunch of the tech has been lagging behind, so it's been a lot harder to trade tech towards the upside just because, right, tech's lagging behind, Q's not at all-time highs, whereas SPY is. So let's talk about Tesla first. Have some news in the overnight session on Tesla. Now we're trying to get back above key levels here as well. So coming into this morning here on Tesla, we're now back above your Tuesday's highs. You can see a nice kind of pop here on Tuesday. Wednesday, just a lot more consolidation inside bar day. Now we're gapping up here in the pre-market. We're above our 344. So coming to market open, if you want to see some upside here, now it's going to be the hold of our 344 for continuation up and towards this 349 key level. So for Tesla, if we can maintain above our 344, we can be looking for longs coming to market open for a push up and towards that 349. So this is going to be the key level coming to market open. If we break underneath, we can see this gap fill back towards your previous day highs. But if we can maintain above our 344, we can be looking for this push up and towards your pre-market highs and above, being that 349. So this is a key level here for Tesla, 344 coming to market open today. We do have this gap up, so we'll see if we have continuation coming to market open. As for Apple, a lot more kind of consolidation here. The chart isn't as clear, but for Apple, the level that we have is your 240, and we also have your 238. What I'd like to see really for Apple now is primarily the break above your 240 hold for continuation towards the upside. You can see higher lows are being built. We talked about the buyer stepping in off this 235. Nice kind of push yesterday, but was not able to get above and hold above this 240. So coming to market open, I'd like to see really the hold above your 240 for continuation, or right, kind of the dip down in towards your 238, then the reclaim back above your 240 for this push back towards the upside. So that's what we have here on Apple for a potential move back towards the upside here. As for some other names that we have, Google, similar kind of chart to Apple. This one is at all-time highs, not as clear, but clear levels that we have is now just going to be your high that we created. This was on Tuesday, and then we can also mark out basically your after hours key level that we had on this original pop. So for Google, really all week. So I would keep an eye out on the semiconductors. If the SPY and Qs wants to reject off key levels, we could be looking at the SPY. We can be looking at the semiconductors for continuation lower. You can see if we go into this 1 hour chart, zoom out just a little bit here. For AMD, you can see staying heavy so far underneath your 162. Kind of these pops are being shorted. If we can get underneath your 158, there is possible for continuation lower here on the semis. So that's what we have coming to market open. It's going to be underneath this 158, and we can see some continuation towards the downside. As for NVIDIA, similar thing here. You can see the overall market, really nice push higher, and that's why the overall market's lagging behind as well, is because the semis have been weaker, right? You can see nice big push up here on the Qs. AMD, not really anything. NVIDIA, not really anything here as well, and not really moving with the overall indices themselves. But for NVIDIA, the key levels that we have marked out is your 168. If we break underneath your 168, hold underneath, we could be looking for continuation lower. The only way I'm somewhat bullish here on the semis, if it can reclaim back above key levels, in this case, 172. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside on the semiconductors themselves. So we'll keep an eye out on NVIDIA 169, and then we'll also keep an eye out on AMD for a potential break underneath this 158. So we'll keep an eye on the semiconductors this morning, and which is AMD and NVIDIA. So those are the names that I do have. Let's take a look at some other tech names here as well. So for Meta, a little bit more consolidation. Key levels that we have coming into today, previous day lows, which is your 746, and we also have kind of this high marked out, which is going to be our 758. So for some downside, break underneath your 747 for a push lower. If you want to see some upside here, it's going to be now the break really above your 753, or it's going to be above your 758, which is going to be your previous day highs pivot point. So that's what we have for Meta coming to market open. As for Amazon, nice kind of push right off the bat and kind of grind the rest of the day. Key levels for Amazon now is going to be this 233. So if you go into the 1 hour chart, 233 is your key pivot point. This is your high that we created all the way back from July earlier this year. So now we're above this key level. What we like to see hold is above your 234 for continuation. So if we can break above this level, hold above your 234, we can see some continuation back towards the upside. So that's the key level that we have marked out. And then for some other names, Microsoft key level 510. And then we also have your 500 key psych, and then really Netflix. This one's actually pushing back up nicely here as well, breaking, really trying to break outside this range. So we have this kind of 4-hour key level. Now, if we can hold above your your 1250, that's going to be key for a potential move back up and towards your earnings high, which will be your 1300. So for Netflix, breaking outside of a key level, keep an eye out on really now it's going to be the hold of your 1250 for continuation higher. So that's what we have coming into market open today. As I mentioned, we do have some news. Let me pull this up. We do have some news here in about 15 minutes. We have the non-farm enrollment. This is going to be really big, right? The unemployment along with the non-farm enrollment at 8:30. So we'll see if price has a big reaction in the overall markets. Alrighty, let me see this. Sound keeps cutting out. Yeah, if sound keeps cutting out, then you can just restart the stream. Sometimes it does that every once in a while with YouTube. But yeah, we'll wait for now the next 15 minutes, and then we'll wait for the non-farm enrollment along with unemployment here. So if you guys do have any tickers or any charts you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat now, and I'll go over them. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub. As always, if you guys haven't joined the watch list, that's in the description below, and also the wait list as well for the event. That one's also in the description below here as well. All right. Okay, if you guys do have any charts, I'll go over them some now. Let me scroll up here as well. Good morning, what's up everyone? Let me go over a couple names here. AVGO, yeah, I see a few people talk about AVGO. This one did have earnings, so had earnings in the after hours, and this one now some more news as well. So you can see this one's pushing up nicely, all-time highs, semis. This one's kind of leading back towards the upside, but it's up 13%. This one is actually flying. So up 13% here in the pre-market. And now you can see really big push. We're fairly far away from your previous day high. So if you're looking at AVGO, key level is really going to be just your previous all-time highs. Of course, this is very far away. I wouldn't want to see a pullback down and towards that level. So now you just mark out, right, down close candles. So you mark out down close candles here on AVGO, and you like to see, right, pullbacks in towards these down close candles here in the pre-market for continuation higher. So levels I'd have marked out, just marked out intraday levels. I would mark out this. You can drag this one over. And then you can also mark out this, another kind of 15-minute order block. You can use these as intraday levels for continuation higher. So AVGO, very bullish. You want to see kind of a dip and rip down in towards key levels, right? 340 or potentially even 330 for continuation higher. So that's what we have for AVGO. Open, another one, kind of this recent IPO. Sorry, not a recent IPO. This one's breaking out here on the higher time frames. Key levels that we talked about yesterday was really your high that we created here on Wednesday. So nice push towards the upside, basing above your really 5 key psych level, and then we based above your 540, which was your previous resistance, turning into support, and you can see nice continuation higher. So for open, Broke above key levels 590. Now we're right at another key level, which is your 640. So this one's moving up nicely here. As long as we hold key levels now, which is going to be your 590, we can expect continuation towards the upside. Next levels here on the daily chart, you can see nice kind of daily breakout here is, yeah, 640, and then kind of this daily gap, and then all the way back up and towards kind of this like 750 level. So you can go back onto the daily time frame to mark out key levels, but this one you can expect to gravitate higher as long as we maintain above key levels. All right, Palantir, a lot more consolidation here. Not really too much to talk about. If you go into the 1 hour chart, overall market's pushing higher here. Palantir just consolidating a bit more now. So for Palantir, equilibrium, we have your high of the range, you have the low of the range marked out. Not really too much to talk about on Palantir, at least on the higher time frames. Lower time frames, if you're looking at this week's price action here, right, Monday, right, Tuesday, not really a clear direction on Palantir. So a lot more kind of scalps intraday, right, price movements. So I'd be a little bit more cautious just based off of the higher time frames. As for Hood, kind of similar thing here to Palantir, holding key levels of support. Now, potentially we could have this like inverse head and shoulders play out if you'd like to see it maintain above your 102. But now for Hood, that's the key levels that we have marked out. Next levels that we do have is 105. If you can reclaim back above 105, we can see continuation higher. As for Hood, the levels that you want to have marked out, previous day highs, and we also have your 102. So if you want to see some upside here, break above your previous day highs, hold for continuation higher, or right, another possible long is off of your 102, bounce for continuation back towards the upside. As for SoFi, this one trying to reclaim back above key levels. SoFi, I do expect to eventually push back up in towards your 2650 and your all-time highs here. So key levels for SoFi is now still your 20, really this 25 key psych level. And then we also have your 2640. We can actually, I can even readjust this. So key level that we can have marked out, exactly, you're going to be your 25 key psych. So what we like to see is really the hold of your 25 key psych, push back up in towards your 2640 and above. All right, let me scroll up here as well. Is the event a virtual event? Yeah, it's going to be online. It's going to be, we'll have more updates on it, but yes, it is going to be a virtual event. Can you do analysis on NQ? I already went over NQ. Thoughts on Shopify? Love your insights. Shopify. I removed the drawings, but Shopify recently had earnings. Nice continued push. Kind of gravitated down towards halfway of the gap. So for Shopify, we want to see the reclaim back above this earnings low for this pushback towards the upside. So if you go back here, we can even go into the kind of 4-hour chart. This is essentially the area that we broke down from, which is your earnings low. Let me actually just get the right level here on the daily. Okay, this is your key level. Let me actually just go back. So for Shopify, the key level is just going to be this earnings low that we have created. So you can see we have multiple touches here, 144. So 144, multiple touches. Now what we like to see is the reclaim back above your 144 hold for a push back towards the upside. If we reject off this level, we're just going to come right back in between its range that we have. So hold above your 144.50 is going to be key. See some of you guys talking about gold. So gold key levels, let me actually just remove a bunch of these, but we've been talking about gold kind of basing for a while, and then eventually it was going to have a move back up in towards your all-time highs. So gold ended up having a really solid push towards the upside last week, finally breaking out. Now we're above key levels, which was our 34.35, and then we also had this key pivot high here as well. So for gold, really nice push towards the upside. Now we're above your all-time highs. We like to see just continuation of the trend. So for gold, key levels, right, higher lows, we like to see the reclaim back above this. Been consolidating a little bit, but now we like to see a push back up and towards your all-time highs, 35.78. So that's what we have. As long as we can maintain above this, we can expect this to continue back towards the upside here. Okay, let me see. Yeah, gold did have a crazy move. AVGO had an earnings call last night, jumped higher. Yes, as I mentioned, AVGO, like if you're day trading this, right, this one's just going to continue higher. I'd be cautious on a Friday. And after a really big push higher, you need an IV flush. So if you're trading, if you want to trade this intraday, you need an IV flush. You can look for that kind of first dip to get bought up, but IV flush down in towards key levels of support for a push. And then you want to sell on these pops. Yesterday, I watched your YouTube video live by Spy Really Thinks. Nice. Let me go into a few other tickers. Should we wait to trade market open because of the news? Yeah, unless you're trading futures, like you're gonna wait for market open regardless. As for Duolingo, this one's just continue to push lower, but key levels now is this key pivot low, which is your 272. So that's your key level. Kind of been in this downtrend after earnings. You like to really see the reaction off of your 264.30 here now. What are some stocks to day trade with 10K? So if you have 10K, that's a pretty decent small account. You can trade most names. You can even trade Tesla as well with a couple contracts, only risking about 10%. It's not Tesla is a little bit more expensive, but that is a name you could play. So for HIMS, kind of bounce off of your 40 key psych level, kind of this double bottom here. You can see buyers stepping in nicely, some volume kind of pushing back towards the upside. Reclaim back above key levels here as well, which was our 45.65. Now for HIMS, we just like to see it maintain above key levels, which is going to be your previous day highs. So you can see nice break above, retest, continuation. Now you can mark out your previous day highs here. We like to see it maintain above 48 for continuation back towards upside. So that's what we have in this case. All right, we do have about 5 minutes until red folder news event here. I'll just go over a couple more names. Yeah, Lululemon also had earnings as well yesterday. This one dropped. Yeah, down 19%. So yeah, Lululemon down 19%. I think American Eagle the other day was up a decent amount, but Lulu breaking underneath key levels. Yeah, really all the way back down in towards COVID lows. So Lulu, next levels that we have on this chart is this level that we're at currently, 164, and potentially all the way down in towards that 129. So for Lulu, big push towards the downside with earnings yesterday. Now this is dropping here in the pre-market as well. You like to see some sort of buyers kind of step in off this 162. It's already down 19%. So you like to see some sort of reaction, potential kind of push back higher. If we just consolidate, then we're going to be looking for that next leg lower underneath that 164.90s. Why is AMD tanking? I think AMD has some news. Also, we do have, right, semis have been weak the past few weeks. So I've been talking about some semiconductors selling off, right? AMD, you can look at NVIDIA after earnings here as well. So this one kind of staying a little bit more heavy compared to the overall market. This one's actually dropping here in the pre-market now, underneath your or very close to your previous day low. So we'll keep an eye out on your 158.50 here coming to market open. When do you remove levels? I remove levels when, or whatever levels, in that case, gold, I just had so many levels marked out. I just want to, some levels aren't relevant. Let's say, for example, like AMD, technically this level is not that relevant, which is your 169, because we're fairly far away from it. So I could remove this level if I wanted to, but this level is not even relevant. So we're going to be focusing on the levels that are the most relevant, which will be the past 3 to 5 days, especially when you're day trading. All right, let me go over IWM. Let me go over a couple more tickers here until we do have some red folder news in 3 minutes. So for IWM, this one's pushing up nicely here. Key levels, now we're kind of right back up and towards your 237.50. We talked about the hold above a couple key levels here on IWM, and now the break above your 235. But for IWM, you like to see it really maintain above your 235.50 for continuation, or it's going to now be the break above your 237.50s here as well. So that's what we have for IWM coming into market open. Let me scroll down here. Let me just grab some water and answer some questions for the next couple of minutes. See some of you guys asking about some Forex here as well. Let's see, Euro, UNH, Can this analysis be done for Forex? Yeah, that's correct. Wanted to change the platform to options trade interactive brokers. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's basically, let me go over like, so for something like Euro USD, if we were to mark out this chart, key levels, right? You can see we can't be on the daily chart. Since the daily chart, there's nothing that really goes on. It's the same thing when you're trading Forex, it's a lot more mean reversions and a lot more reversals. Whereas, right, if you're trading the indices, you'll have a lot more trends in the overall market where there's a completely different kind of thesis and the reason why, right, Forex moves. So in this case, right, Forex, right, you can see we're just kind of inside this range here on the 4-hour time frame. So you'd really have to be, if you're trading this, right, on the lower time frames, even the 1 minute, sorry, on the 1 hour and below, to look for any sort of trading opportunities. And you're primarily looking for mean reversions at, right, key highs and lows, right? You're looking for bounces and rejections instead of looking at trends, because normally, right, they don't trend as often as the indices and other tech names. Okay, we have about 1 minute here until some red folder news, which is going to be fairly important. Most of the names already, yes, I've already went over most of the names. It's on the right hand side. I kind of go down. I usually go over a majority of these tickers. Okay, let's see. So a little bit of pullback here on the ES after hitting all-time highs. We'll see what shapes up here. We do have SPY. It's just coming right back down into our previous day highs here. So we'll see what shapes up here with some red folder news. Now we're just kind of waiting. Yeah, short week here as well. Oops. Yeah, short week in the overall markets. It's a Friday today. Really this week markets haven't done too much besides yesterday, kind of that grind back up and towards your all-time highs. We'll see what shapes up here as well. That definitely came in way lower than expected. So I just saw forecasted overall markets dropping here. We'll see what happens and what shapes up. But so far, kind of a little bit of reaction off of your all-time highs. So for the ES, let me actually go back onto this here. Let me look at the numbers here in a second. But so far, kind of a rejection off of your previous all-time highs as of right now. So we'll see what kind of shapes up. Let me actually go back onto this. Okay, numbers came out. Non-farm enrollment, you can see unemployment rate unchanged. This red folder news, average of the hour earnings unchanged, but the non-farm enrollment came in much lower than expected. As you can see, forecasted 75K, whereas the actual 22K, pretty big reaction so far. In the overall markets, we are at all-time highs. So we are at all-time highs here. The key level still is just going to be your previous all-time highs, as I mentioned. So coming to market open, really the only level that matters is going to be your previous all-time highs. So as you can see here on the overall markets, if we reject off this level, or the game plan is if it rejects off this level, we've been looking for continuation lower. If we can reclaim back above this high, then we can see some continuation towards the upside. Similar thing here on the SPY. You can see we're kind of just defending your previous all-time highs so far as of yet. Similar thing. If we can maintain above this level, we can see continuation towards the upside. If we get underneath, then we're going to be looking for a potential reversal. I'm fairly bullish on the overall market just because we are at all-time highs. We do have to be a little bit more cautious now with the numbers that came out, but the key levels, all-time highs. Right? If I do look for anything long, I primarily like the indices themselves, specifically the SPY, since we are at all-time highs. Q's lagging behind just a little bit, and the key level is going to be this 577. As for the NQ, similar thing here. Key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be this key pivot high, which is all the way back from August the 25th of October. If we can get above this, then we can see some continuation towards the upside. Let's actually look at some tech names here with the overall indices. So coming into this morning here, some of the main watches, I do like Google. Apple looks good for a continuation still as well here on a Friday, above really this 240. Tesla, we'll keep an eye out on this one coming to market open here as well. It's going to be above your 344 base for continuation towards the upside. So we'll keep an eye out on this ticker. As for the semiconductors, you can see really no reaction, right? You can see how heavy the semis are coming to market open. If the market does want to pull back, right, semis could see some more downside here underneath your 169 and then AMD really underneath this 158. But I would be looking for upside first on a few of these names. And I would only be interested in the semis if the Qs has a reversal. And let's see what else. Yeah, you can really see the overall market in itself. We actually don't have too many nice setups on the tech side. It's honestly primarily the indices themselves. So we'll focus on some of these names that I mentioned with higher timeframes like Apple, Google, Tesla had some news, even Amazon potentially. But really, it seems like most likely we're going to be focusing on the major indices themselves, like the SPY and Qs coming to market open. And then potentially some of these semiconductors, if they want to stay heavy, we can be looking for a break underneath, really going to be this 169. So that's what we have on the overall indices coming into today with the numbers that just came out here as well. So yeah, game plan, as I mentioned earlier, it's just going to be the reaction that we have off of your all-time highs on the SPY and the Qs, which is going to be key. Similar thing, right? NQ, right? The reaction that we have. I am fairly bullish since we are at all-time highs, but I'd like to see now a few of these other tech names, right, show some nice setups and continuation coming to market open. So that's what I have coming to today here for the overall markets. Kind of similar game plan to the rest of the week, right? After these big moves that we have in the kind of the after hours and in the pre-market and coming into the close, right? It just usually sets up for a little bit more of a harder open. So be a little bit more cautious within the first 15 to 30 minutes. A lot of the trades have been happening later into the session. Let me go over a couple more tickers. Let me see the chat here as well. Let's see. I've checked out a lot of his videos, but don't know how to plot kilo. They're just old highs and old lows, right? Just old highs, old lows, right? Previous day highs, previous day lows. All the other levels I draw are intraday levels. So right now I'm drawing out higher time frame levels, and then when the market opens, then I'll draw some intraday levels here as well. When news comes out, how do you analyze and value the news? If they come out as positive or negative, the whole process of analyzing. So this news in itself is baked into the market. So majority of the times, if you have red folder news, unless it's a crazy surprise, right, majority of the times, something like this, in this case, right, you can see the news came in lower than expected, but the overall market's moving higher. Why? Because we're basically at all-time highs. So for the overall markets, we're at all-time highs. So what can we expect? Continuation towards the upside. So unless we have, right, a crazy bombshell that drops like intraday, right, we can really base it off of technicals, primarily technical since we are at all-time highs. And then for the other news events like earnings, right, that's something that's more news driven than something that's based off technicals. So there's difference between, right, news based driven, which will just override anything that has to do with technicals. And then we have news like red folder news, which primarily, right, already baked into the market. So you're going to be looking at technicals as well and looking at the overall market. So if you're looking at technicals wise, right, and you see the ES, right, we're at all-time highs. Or if you look at the SPY, we're at all-time highs. So what's more likely to happen, right, we only have two scenarios, either the rejection off your all-time highs, or now we have the reversal. In this case, you can see really big push higher. Now what we like to see is really just a hold above your previous all-time highs for continuation towards upside. So that's what we have. All right. Yes, that is going to be it for me today. So we're just going to keep an eye out on your previous all-time highs here on the SPY and the Qs coming to market open. As for the rest of the tickers, I already mentioned what I'm looking for. Tesla above your 344. I do like Apple and Google as well, just based off of this week's price action for continuation higher. And then for the semiconductors, I'll be a little bit more cautious on these ones. AMD and NVIDIA look fairly weak. So that's what we have. You can also keep an eye on Amazon. I actually do like Amazon here above your 234 for continuation higher. So that's what I have coming to market open. I'm going to get ready for the market now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, that is in the description below. And of course, if you guys haven't joined the wait list for the event coming up as well, that's one is also in the description below as well. So that is it for me today, and I will see you guys all next week. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great rest of the weekend. Peace.